Hello, welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to talk about a bit of a buzzword called shift left. I've been asked this a few times, so I wanted to walk through how I conceptualize the idea of shift left and how you might be able to apply it in some contexts. I guess to oversimplify the problem, the idea of shift left is to imagine your software development lifecycle as a linear pathway from one side to another, where the leftmost side, why is that text so small? Oh, because I changed the font size to be smaller. I want to make it bigger. Where the left-hand side of your development pipeline is your developer, where you're exactly writing code, hacking away on the keyboard, and your rightmost is being released into production. And the idea is that you go through steps along the way from your development to production, and the idea of shift left is to identify problems in the code that you've written as early in the life cycle as possible. Some concepts or some tools that you might imagine, like the furthest left you can probably get is, I don't know, like red squiggles in your IDE. You could imagine a code linter that you run that's in red squiggles. Maybe using pre-commit is a way to shift your problems leftward most. Having unit tests during your CI pipelines. Unit tests. Maybe unit tests are pretty fast, but you might also have some slower tests, some like integration tests. They're slower, but they might catch more specific problems. Maybe you have end-to-end tests. Those are something even slower, like something that is further right in this idea. Further right being that it takes you longer to reach a problem and restart your iteration loop and have to start over. So say end-to-end test. Another idea might be code review. Code review is also a place where you can identify a problem in your code and have to go back to the beginning or back to the drawing board and have to rework on stuff. These are things that are slower and slower in your iteration. Another thing that might be further to the right and probably somewhere where you don't want to fail at this stage because you're already very far into this process is something like a staging environment. Or maybe even further than a staging environment is like manual QA. Right? A human had to click through and verify that something is working properly. If you've gotten all the way to manual QA, you've wasted a lot of people's time at that point. Probably one of the last lines of defenses here is like a Canary environment, something where you would deploy to a small subset of hosts and make sure that your code still works properly until you've eventually reached prod. And so the idea of shift left is to identify problems or like put systems in place that identify particular classes of problem as early as possible in the development cycle, such that you minimize that cycle time, or at least that's kind of the buzzword ideology of how this works. You'll notice like I like to work in like this realm here, usually working on things like developer tools, linters, code formatters, things that type checkers, things that point out errors and help developers recognize problems even before they've started running tests or even before they've gotten to a code review stage. And obviously way before, I don't even recommend manual QA, for instance, but way before you get to like a staging environment or a pre-prod or Canary or something like that. But then again, at work, like I've employed a lot of these concepts to shift left, to reduce the blast radius of a bad change and give developers feedback as early as possible. Canary environments was one of the things I pushed for at work to make sure that like if you ship a bad change, it doesn't go immediately to 100% of users. It's something that's more gradual rollout. The nice thing about Canary is, we use Sentry. Sentry is an error reporting and monitoring tool. Sentry uses Sentry. And so you can find new errors at a Canary environment to help identify regressions. But yeah, this is kind of the idea of shift left, and the idea is to try and move as much of your problem detection this direction so that the developer iteration loop is faster. Okay, hopefully you found this useful. If there are additional things you would like me to explain, leave a comment below or reach out to me on the various platforms. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.